We have devoured worlds. We have survived fire. We have bonded with the darkest corners of the galaxy. But this thing doesn't bleed blood, Eddie. It bleeds death. That is the only thought screaming through the neural link as Eddie Brock slams against the cold, industrial bulkhead of the USCSS Erebus. He is clutching his left arm, or what's left of the suit covering it. The black substance is recoiling, boiling away in a hiss of gray smoke, exposing raw, blistered skin underneath. The pain isn't just physical, it's a psychic scream. For the first time since the bond was forged, the voice in his head is hungry. It is terrified. The corridor ahead is plunged into a rhythmic, strobe light nightmare. Red emergency lights pulse against the steam venting from ruptured hydraulic pipes, casting long, dancing shadows that look like ribs. The air smells of ozone, recycled oxygen, and something sharper, something like battery acid and burnt sugar. Eddie forces himself to stand, his breath hitching in his throat. The symbiote surges forward, overriding the terror with adrenaline, knitting itself back over the wound. They are whole again, but the confidence is gone. The black suit forms, hulking and massive, filling the narrow hallway. Its wide eyes narrow into jagged slits, scanning the darkness. Then they hear it. Not a roar, not a taunt. Just a wet, metallic click. Gravity seems to shift. From the ceiling, camouflaged perfectly against the mechanical piping, the shadow detaches itself. It drops with a grace that defies physics. It is a nightmare of biomechanical elegance, a smooth, elongated dome of obsidian carapace, devoid of eyes, sensing the world through pheromones and heat. It lands silently, a stark contrast to Venom's chaotic, heavy mass. This is the apex paradox, the clash of two biological absolutes. One is a parasite that needs a host to live. The other is a parasite that kills the host to be born. Venom lashes out, a reflex born of panic. A massive, black tendril shoots forward like a harpoon, striking the creature's shoulder. It's a solid hit. The chitin cracks, but the victory is a trap. A spray of neon green fluid erupts from the wound, splashing onto the tendril. The sound is instantaneous like liquid fire. The symbiote howls, severing the connection instantly. The tendril dissolves into sludge before it can retract. The lesson is learned in a millisecond. You cannot touch this enemy. You cannot eat this enemy. Every part of it is a weapon. The creature, the Xenomorph, tilts its head. It is analyzing. It realizes the brute force standing before it is afraid. Its tail, tipped with a serrated, bone-white blade, flicks casually behind it. It steps forward. Venom retreats, smashing backward through a sealed pressure door, tumbling into the room beyond. They land in a laboratory, and suddenly, the context of this horror becomes clear. This wasn't a rescue mission. The Erebus wasn't drifting. It was waiting. Rows of cylindrical glass tanks lined the walls, illuminated by a sickly yellow glow. Inside, suspended in amber fluid, are the failures, twisted experiments, a black symbiote sample attempting to bond with a facehugger, both dead, locked in an eternal struggle of genetic incompatibility. The corporation, Weyland-Yutani, had found the Klyntar traces in deep space. They tried to merge the chaotic adaptability of the symbiote with the biological perfection of the Xenomorph. They wanted the ultimate weapon, the structure of the alien with the versatility of Venom, but nature rejected it. The tanks are filled with graves. They wanted to engineer a nightmare. Eddie. The symbiote growls, the vibration rattling Eddie's ribcage. The realization is heavy. They aren't just fighting a monster. They are fighting human arrogance, the desire to control what should not be controlled. They are the obsolete model. The floor grates beneath them begin to buckle. It's not just one hunter anymore. The hive has woken up. Shadows peel away from the ventilation shafts. 3 drones drop into the lab, surrounding them. They move with jerky, insectoid precision, circling Venom like wolves who have sensed a wounded bear. They know he is dangerous, but they also know he is bleeding. Venom doesn't panic this time. He adapts. If he cannot touch them, he will use the world against them. He roars, grabbing a heavy, steel operating table bolted to the floor. With a sickening crunch of metal, he rips it free. This is his shield. This is his hammer. When the first drone lunges, Venom swings the table with the force of a freight train. The impact shatters the alien's exoskeleton midair. Acid sprays across the room, melting through the floor plating, but the steel table takes the brunt of it, sizzling and warping. Venom is learning. He grabs a second drone by the tail, carefully avoiding the tip, and whips it into a bank of electrical servers. High-voltage arcs explode outward, frying the creature instantly. But for every victory, there is a cost. A stray drop of acid burns through Venom's shoulder. The bond is destabilizing. The stress is too high. The heat in the room is rising. The alarms are blaring, and the sheer number of enemies is overwhelming. We need to leave, Eddie thinks, his mind racing. No, the symbiote counters, its voice heavy with a dark instinct. The mother is here. I can hear her singing in the dark. They crash through the back of the lab, sliding down the maintenance cables into the bowels of the ship. The air gets hotter, thicker. The lighting shifts from cold blue to emergency red, bathing everything in crimson light. They land in the reactor core, the heart of the ship. And there she is. The Queen. She is fused into the resin of the hive structure, a massive, towering monument to biological cruelty. Her crown is a crest of sharp angles. She breathes, and steam vents from her mouth. She detaches from her egg sac with a wet, tearing sound and stands to her full height, dwarfing Venom. This is the war of ideologies. The Queen represents the hive mind order, hierarchy, absolute destiny. Venom represents the individual, the chaotic, messy bond between 2 outcasts who became something more. The Queen screams. It is a high-frequency shriek that shatters the glass on the control panels. It hits Venom like a physical blow. Sound is his other weakness, and she knows it. She is intelligent. She saw him flinch at the alarms. Venom falls to his knees. The suit begins to peel away, dissolving into black puddles, unable to hold its form against the sonic assault. Eddie is exposed. He looks up at the towering monster. The Queen's inner jaw extends, dripping with saliva, inches from his face. He can smell her breath-rotten meat and sulfur. But Eddie Brock is a reporter. He notices details. He notices the environment. The reactor core behind the Queen is venting coolant. The pipes are frosted over with ice, pulsing with liquid nitrogen. We don't need to beat her, Eddie screams internally, pushing the thought into the symbiote's fading consciousness. We just need to cool her off. The symbiote understands. It surges back, fueled by one last desperate spark of survival. Venom explodes upwards, bypassing the Queen entirely. He doesn't strike her. He launches himself at the ceiling pipes directly above her. He digs his claws in and rips the coolant lines wide open. A deafening hiss drowns out the Queen's scream. A torrent of liquid nitrogen, at absolute zero, cascades down onto her. The reaction is instant. The xenomorph biology is perfect for the vacuum of space and the heat of a furnace, but rapid thermal shock is universal physics. The chitin freezes. It turns from black to white, then to a dull gray. The Queen tries to move, to strike, but the fluid in her joints crystallizes. Her scream dies in her throat. She freezes mid-strike, a statue of ice and death. Venom drops to the floor, shivering violently. The cold hurts him too, making his movements sluggish, but he is alive. The ship's computer voice cuts through the silence. Self-destruct sequence initiated. T-minus 60 seconds. The coolant rupture triggered the failsafe. They run. It is a blur of motion, a desperate scramble through collapsing corridors. As the ship begins to tear itself apart, they reach the escape pods. There is only one left. Venom throws himself inside, slamming the manual launch sequence. The pod ejects just as the shockwave tears through the hangar bay. Outside, in the vacuum of space, the Erebus crumples silently. It blossoms into a sphere of fire, a temporary sun that fades as quickly as it was born. The tiny pod tumbles away, a speck of dust against the backdrop of infinite stars. Inside the pod, silence returns. Eddie sits on the floor, panting, covered in sweat and grime. The symbiote recedes into his skin, leaving a small, black head resting on his shoulder. They look out the viewport at the debris field. They survived. But the question lingers in the recycled air. The Xenomorph was perfect. It had no remorse, no hesitation, no need for a partner to slow it down. It was pure, unadulterated biology. And yet, it lost. Why? Because perfection is rigid. Perfection cannot improvise. Perfection breaks when the temperature changes. Venom looks at Eddie. The black ooze forms a jagged, tired smile. We are not perfect, Eddie. The voice whispers, fading into the back of his mind. We are a mess. Eddie leans his head back against the wall, closing his eyes as the pod drifts further into the dark. Yeah, he whispers back, we're a mess. But we're the mess that survived. Chaos or perfection? Whose side are you on? Tell us before they find you. Like, comment, share, subscribe.